Hello, everybody. My name is Laura Cantu, and welcome to our live stream Mondays. Today, I have a very special presentation for you. We are going to be talking about how to choose between a college and a university. I'm going to be explaining differences. I'm going to be explaining similarities. So please make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to stay connected, stay on the live until the end because as always, I will be answering your questions. And yeah, don't forget to let me know where you're watching from down in the comment section so that I have an idea of who is watching, who's joining us today. And as always, just stay tuned and pay a lot of attention because these live streams are super informational. They are filled with important and valuable tips and strategies that can help you, that can help your student. So definitely, stay tuned and pay lots of attention because we do these lives every week because we want to help you. We want to give you as much information, as much resources as we can so that you can help your students get accepted into great colleges with scholarships because we know that the college admissions process can be a little overwhelming. It can be a little jarring sometimes, but we want to make that process easy for you. So that is why we are able to do these live streams. And honestly, we are able to do these live streams every week thanks to Best College Aid. The membership, Best College Aid is our sponsor, and we are able to not only do these live streams on YouTube and Facebook, but also create all the content that we have in all of our social media platforms thanks to Best College Aid. And if you don't know what Best College Aid is or you haven't heard of it, if you're new, just a little recap. Best College Aid is an online membership by step-by-step guide that has guided thousands of families throughout the college admissions process. It has helped families, parents, and students understand how the college admissions process works in the United States, and it has helped them maximize their odds of getting accepted into the right colleges with scholarships. Now, if in the spirit of giving and in the spirit of me wanting to give you as many resources as I can to help you and your family, I want to remind you and I want to let you know that if you haven't done so already, we do have a free training which is additional to all of these live streams that we do. This free training is on the 6 strategies to help your children get accepted into college with scholarships, and it is so helpful. We have had hundreds of parents, thousands of parents watch it, and they tell us that they learn more in these 45 minutes in this free presentation that they did in the 2 or 3 years that their kids have been in high school. So definitely, if you haven't done so already, if you haven't watched it, if you haven't had the chance, make sure to register. The link is below this video's in this video's description, and make sure that you take advantage of this resource that we have for you because, as I said, is something that we put together for you, is something that Best College Aid, the online course, the online membership, has put together for anybody who's just interested in getting to know how the process works, getting to know how parents can help their students receive scholarships and help them understand the system, right? The college admissions and educational system in this country. Now, I also do want to remind you that at this moment, right now, we have our Best College Aid holiday sale. So those of you who might know, the Best College Aid membership, it does have a cost because it is a step-by-step membership and it's a step-by-step process, and it's very personalized. It's an online course that includes a lot of benefits such as online support, unlimited online support through our private member group, through online messaging, through email, and it has more than 80 video tutorials which include some of these topics that you can see above. And these are just some of the amazing benefits, and we want to give you a chance to become a member today. And I just want to let you know that we do have this sale going on at the moment. And it is because, of course, of the holiday season, because it is December 12th, which is crazy. I cannot believe it's December 12th already. But It is December 12th. We are having our holiday sale. And if you are interested in getting this membership and becoming a member so that you can help your child dominate the college admissions process and really understand what it is that they have to do, what you have to do as a parent, what they have to do as a student to get accepted into the right colleges, the right universities that are going to give them the right amount of scholarships, that are going to meet all the students' criteria, whether it is academic criteria, financial need, extracurricular criteria, if they wanted to continue to do an extracurricular activity in college. All of that is detailed step by step, and we do offer guidance online, unlimited online support inside of Best College Aid. So if you're interested in joining and becoming a member, all you have to do is, if you haven't done so already, one way to do it is watch this free training, register, and at the end we do add the holiday sale discount. And of course, if you have already registered for our free presentation, you should have gotten an email with this sale, with this coupon. So it should be in your emails. So definitely, those are some ways to be able to reach this discount so that maybe you can join Best College Aid today and have access to all the amazing benefits, which we do go over in this free training, by the way. If you want to learn more about what it is that the Best College Aid membership offers, some of the amazing benefits, we do cover it in this free training. So if you want to learn that, if you're just curious, at the end of the presentation where we share those free tips, because we do offer a lot of valuable content in that presentation. We're not just trying to sell to you or anything. There is 45 minutes of valuable information and valuable it's a valuable training where we explain the 6 steps to help your kids how to go to college with scholarships. Once we're done giving you all those amazing tips, at the end we do go over what Best College Aid includes. So definitely, if you're interested, just register, watch the free training, stay till the end. And if you are interested at the end, you can become a Best College Aid member. And if you're not, well, you would have learned already 6 important tips that can help you and your students. Alrighty? Okay, so I see that we have some people commenting. By the way, I do want to remind you that David is in the chat. He is letting you guys know that he's going to be monitoring the chat. If there are any questions, if there's any comments in the chat and I'm not able to answer them because I will be live, he will be monitoring the chat. He will be answering questions. So make sure to ask your questions and, just ask questions, because I do try to answer them at the end of the presentation, but also he might just get ahead and answer some of the comments that you might leave on this live stream. Okay, as I mentioned, today we're talking about how to choose between a college and university. I'm going to be talking about the differences and similarities of a college and a university, because there are differences. A lot of people do ask us, what is a college? What is a university? A lot of people think that a college, if a school is called, I don't know, like the college that I went to, Marist College, that it is a community college, and it's not, it is still a 4-year, some colleges are community college, but just because the school has the name college on it doesn't make it a community college. And I will get into that as we go through the presentation. Not to be mistaken, a college is not to be mistaken with a community college. Harvard College is just a smaller school under the Harvard University umbrella, but I will explain that in more detail, so don't worry about it. And it is important to know these differences. It is important to know what everything in this process in the educational system stands for, and have a general understanding, so that you know your options, so that your student knows their options. And just because maybe if your student or you think that, oh, that school is a college, I don't know, Ithaca College. Well, I don't want my son or my daughter to go to a community college, but no, Ithaca College is not a community college. And I will explain that, all right? This is very out of context, but I just wanted to give you a little peek at what we will be talking about today. And I also want to remind you that we do go live every Monday here on YouTube and Facebook. And on Tuesdays, we are live on Instagram and TikTok at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. These times might change come the new year because we have we have had parents and students tell us that it might be better to do it later in the day to go live, better for them time-wise, because a lot of students are in school, a lot of parents are working. So we might be changing around our times come 2023. So of course, we're gonna update you guys with that, and we will post something here on YouTube. We will let you know. So make sure that you also, if you haven't done so already, subscribe and like this video. Maybe turn on the bell icon just so you get a notification every time we do go live. So you don't miss out on the opportunity of me or Francisco or David or whoever it is that's doing the live stream once they do the Q&A, the portion of the live stream where they're answering questions, the questions that you leave on the chat. You don't miss out on your question possibly being answered. Okay? All right, perfect. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and start today's presentation on how to choose between a college and a university. All right, so let's get started with the first type of institution, which is a university. What is a university? Well, a university is an institution of higher learning authorized to grant academic degrees for both an undergraduate division and a graduate division. All right, so that is going to be one of the biggest, differences between a college and a university, and we're going to see them side to side. But first, I wanted to kind of, separate them and give you a nice description of them, individually. So a university is an institution that is able to award degrees on the undergraduate level and the graduate level. Now, there are some colleges that are going to have, certain degrees available, certain graduate degrees available, but it's more limited. Usually if a student wants to, has already gone through the undergraduate, their undergraduate years and they got their undergraduate degree and they would like to either get a doctorate or, they want to go to grad school, they more often than not will have to go or apply to a university. Now, if some colleges will have graduate degrees available, but usually when colleges have graduate degrees available is for like a handful of graduate degrees, or it's a very newer program. And there are colleges that throughout the years, maybe they started off as a college, but they started, expanding and having the funds to go from college to university. So that definitely can happen. But usually, to summarize, it is an institution, a university is an institution of higher learning authorized to grant academic degrees for both an undergraduate division and a graduate division. Now, what are the types of degrees that a student can receive from a university? Well, obviously, as I said, undergraduate, which is usually bachelor's degrees. Bachelor's degrees are awarded to students at an undergraduate level. There's also graduate degrees available, such as master's degrees. And the third type of degree that is available at a university is also a professional degree, such as a doctorate, those higher level degrees that a lot of people can receive after they've gone through a lot of years of schooling and, they've received undergraduate, graduate, and then they can go ahead and get doctorate degrees. All right. So that is kind of like a general view of a university. Now, let's move on and explain what is a college, right? So a college is an institution of higher learning that provides a general or liberal arts education rather than a technical or professional training. All right, so liberal arts, you will hear this a lot with colleges. There are obviously some colleges that do have technical degrees. This is not like black and white in the US, and more so nowadays, there are more colleges that are incorporating, they're still liberal art colleges, but they will have some technical or, STEM colleges or STEM schools within that college, right? So don't think that if your student wants to major in engineering or they want to major in biology, that they can do this at a college. There are these opportunities available, but for the most part at a college, these institutions are going to provide a general or liberal arts education rather than a technical or professional training. Now, let me show you the two types of degrees that students can receive from a college, right? So you can only really receive an undergraduate degree, but not really. There, as I said, there's colleges that do offer some master's degrees, but generally there's going to be undergraduate degrees available for the most part at a college. And this can either be an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree, which is something that is going to be available at a community college. And there's also bachelor's degree, which is, colleges do offer bachelor's degrees. The undergraduate bachelor's degree that I received, it is the 4-year degree. My college, Marist College, did have it was a liberal arts college, but it was one of those situations where it was a liberal arts college that, has always been a college, but it did have certain programs, certain graduate programs, and it did have certain students did graduate from the graduate school, but it wasn't for every single major. It was only like a handful of majors. And, I remember when I first started there, my 9th grade, they had a few graduate programs available, but then by the time I graduated, they had opened a PA school, a PA program, which was funded, for years, but it wasn't able to be implemented and open for students to apply to till the year that I was graduating. So as I said, a lot of things can change, and there are colleges that will have certain, graduate degrees available for their students, certain programs, but for the most part, so you're going to see that more in universities rather than in a college. All right, so I just wanted to kind of clear the air with that. And now let's have a side-by-side comparison of the key characteristic of the key characteristics between a college and a university. All right, so university, as I mentioned, they offer undergraduate degrees and professional degrees as well as graduate. So undergraduate, graduate, and professional degrees, whereas colleges mostly offer undergraduate and some graduate degrees. A university will most likely offer many majors, will have more majors available, will have a longer list of majors, because usually universities tend to be bigger in size, bigger in class sizes. There's going to be more students for the most part, and there's going to be a bigger faculty, there's going to be more funding, etc. So more often than not, universities will offer more majors than a college. Also, the offer limited number of majors. Another key characteristic of a university is that it may be private or it may be public, but also colleges may be private or public. Mostly colleges are going to be private. And they're going to be smaller. Universities have many students per class, whereas colleges will have less students per class, unless it's a bigger college. But mostly universities are going to have that very key characteristic when compared to most colleges in the U.S., that the universities are going to be bigger in bigger classes, which means like in a classroom, the student to faculty ratio is going to be bigger at a university than it is at a college. So, for example, my brother Francisco, he went to UNC Chapel Hill, and he told me that he had certain classes that were smaller as he was getting more into his major, but freshman year, sophomore year, he would have 50 students in a classroom and one teacher and maybe a TA. Whereas myself, that I went to Marist College and it's a very small school, I would have, I think the biggest class that I ever had was like 25 students, which is half of that. And some classes were even smaller. I remember one of my classes had 15 students and one professor, and it was more intimate, and it was there was a bigger chance of creating a relationship with your teachers, with your professors, and whereas in a university sometimes, since classes are so big, there's students might not even interact with a professor. The professor will come in, give a lecture, and then their TA will administer tests, pick up homework, and sometimes all the communication happens first. Like if there's an issue, the student goes up to the TA, and of course they could talk to the teacher if something is not. A question's not answered, but it is kind of like that. That's one of the biggest differences. Universities tend to be bigger, colleges tends to be smaller. All right, something that I do want to clarify, or a question that we do get asked a lot, is which one should I apply to? Students ask us that a lot, and parents too. Which type of school should my student apply to, a college or university? And we always tell our students, we always tell our parents that the choice comes to the student, and what school is going to meet the student's academic needs. Which school is going to meet the family's financial needs, right? Because that is important. There are colleges that might meet the students' academic needs, but they're not going to meet the family's financial needs. Maybe that college, maybe that university is not so generous. So, maybe this is going to have the major that the student is looking for, the minor, but it's going to be super expensive, and it's not going to be a generous school. It's not going to offer a lot of scholarships. So that might not be the greatest option if finances are something that the family prioritizes. Additionally, also something that is very important when choosing between a college and a university is look for generous colleges and universities. Not only is the family's financial needs need to be considered, but one of the biggest parts of the process of looking for colleges and creating a college list is, if finances are something of importance to your family, is finding schools that are generous, right? Finding schools that tend to have pretty high financial aid awards. And not only that, not only financial aid, but they have a lot of scholarships available, institutional scholarships available for the student, for the family. And, there are colleges. Usually, a tip or something that I do tell students is, don't sleep on private colleges. Don't sleep on private universities. Just because the school is private, it doesn't mean that it's not going to have a great financial aid, system, or financial aid an endowment. Usually, private colleges, private universities have a high endowment because they have a lot of people who donate to the school. So they have the resources to, give scholarships based on financial need, scholarships based on extracurricular merit, academic merit. So don't think that just because a school is private, that they're not going to be generous. And that is, I guess, a free tip, a piece of advice that I want to share with you today. Don't think just because a college is, it's a private college in New York or a private college in North Carolina, that they're going to be super expensive. Yeah, the school is going to be expensive, and the tuition is going to be high, but more often than not, private schools do have a high endowment. Not every private college, not every private university is going to have, a big endowment where they can provide scholarships and offer scholarships to students get accepted, but it is very common. So that is something, I guess, a random piece of advice or a random tip that I do want to share when creating a college list. I'm not saying just apply to private colleges, because while there are private colleges that are very generous, there are some public universities, there are some students that might live in a state that has a great state school or a great public university, like in Florida, UF, FSU, and those schools might be a better option if the student gets accepted to stay in state and go to one of those schools and get that in-state tuition. And maybe if they win a state scholarship, it might be a better option to go there than to go out of state and, maybe pay a little bit more. So it's all things that should be considered. But, another a piece of advice that I have is when choosing between a college and university, it shouldn't come down to choosing between going to a college and university once you get accepted, once your student gets accepted. This decision and understanding the differences between these two types of institution comes way before the student is applying to college. Understanding the differences between a college and university is very imperative when the student is creating their college list. And this is why I am here presenting and like kind of giving you this information today, because knowing these differences is going to make the process of maybe weeding out schools that might not be of interest to the student, or, you know, the process of looking for colleges easier if the student knows for a fact that they don't want to go to a large school where there's a ton of students and where class sizes are going to be big. Maybe it's good for them to, you know, look to apply to private colleges or small universities rather than big state schools, rather than big public universities that are known for their huge class sizes, like the Ohio State University or UCF, the University of Central Florida, which is a enormous school. It's super, super big. Maybe they're going to be better off applying to smaller schools, right? So it is important to know this ahead of time when creating a college list, which, by the way, you might be hearing me say a lot. Creating a college list, I don't even know if my student even knows what that is. We do go over that in our free training. So if you want to understand how to get started with creating a college list that so that you can maximize your child's, you know, chances of receiving a scholarship and getting into the right school, sign up for this free training. We do kind of go over it in this video, in this free presentation. Francisco, who is the host of this free training, covers that information. But yeah, it is important to know the differences between these two types of institution before you even start sitting down with your kid, or your kid starts sitting down and tries to create a college and looks for the right university for them. Obviously, these things also matter when creating a college list. Which school is going to meet the student's academic needs, which one's going to meet the family's financial need, and which schools are going to be generous, and also extracurricular needs. That's more on the student. If the student plays a sport, if the student, is part of the theater and wants to continue to do theater, if they're in the marching band and they want to continue to do that, all those things matter. And, you know, knowing, okay, well, maybe my child does marching band and they want to continue to be in the marching band, but they wouldn't want to be in a huge marching band. Maybe they want to do it in a smaller school, or they do want to be in a big marching band and they want to audition for a competitive marching band and go to the big games that has, or, you know, UCF, UT Austin, UCLA. Maybe that is better to know, and they're going to choose universities, to apply to universities, to audition for the marching band at a big state school. So it is important to know this. I know that I already said this 3 times, but this is why I am bringing this information to you today, so that you have an idea of how imperative it is and how important it is to start preparing and to start understanding all these terms, all aspects of the college application early on. And if you don't really know where to begin, again, this free training is the first, it's like the best first step that you can take as a parent. And even if you're a student watching this masterclass, watching this free training, trust me, is going to give you a very nice perspective, no matter what part of the process you're in, whether your student is in 9th grade, middle school, or maybe you are your student is in 11th grade. It is very helpful, and it has helped parents and students from all ages and in all points of their high school, middle school, or college journey. All right, cool. So now it's time for me to answer some of the questions. That was a presentation that I had for you today, but it is time to answer some of the questions that were sent into us. So these are some of the questions that were sent into us over the past week. And Pilco asked on Facebook, I have 3 children that play sports. How could they get an athletic scholarship? All right, so this is a question that we got. Again, to repeat it is, I have 3 children that play sports. How could they get an athletic scholarship? All right, so athletic scholarships are a great way, and there are a lot of athletic scholarships available for students out there, and it is a great way to use an extracurricular activity so to your advantage to be able to afford college. So if you have a student, Pilko, and whoever is watching, if you're a student who plays a sport, maybe has been part of the basketball team, and they play at a private basketball club or a private tennis club, and they compete, and they're in middle school or they're in high school, they could maybe, if they wanted to, and if they do the process correctly, they could go to college with an athletic scholarship. Now, there is a process when it comes to applying to college and trying to receive an athletic scholarship. It's called the recruitment process. And my brother David, he actually went through it because he was a swimmer his whole entire life. We all swam, but he was the one that always knew that he wanted to swim in college. So he went through this recruitment process that usually starts, it starts as soon as a student touches or starts doing whatever sport that they do, whether it's a basketball, whether it is a football, whatever sport it is. It starts as soon as they kind of fall in love with a sport, and then they decide that they want to keep doing it. But the actual recruitment process, the more technical aspect of it, usually starts, or the one of the no, it doesn't start, but the part where the student is communicating with coaches and is visiting schools is going to be around junior year and senior year. But there are things that do have to be done depending on the sport. Since 9th grade, 10th grade. And if the student is an athlete since they're in middle school, obviously just trying to get better, trying to improve so that they can be as competitive as they can be by the time that they are juniors, seniors, and they can get recruited into a good athletic program, or just improve the chances of getting recruited by schools that are going to offer them scholarships. So there are ways to get an athletic scholarship. And my biggest piece of advice right now is to register to this free training. Oh, there you go. Register to this free training, which if you're watching on YouTube is on the link below this video. And if you're watching on Instagram and TikTok, the link to this training is in my bio. So first step, obviously, register to the free training and understand how the athletic recruitment process works, and how to take advantage of your children's talents, since Pilko mentioned that their children, all three of them play sports. So understanding what opportunities are out there and going through the recruitment process. All right, so great question. Now, we did get another question from Acela G, who asked this question on Facebook. She said, my daughter is in 7th grade and she has all A's. Do you have any advice for me? All right, so she's saying that her daughter is in 7th grade, so middle school, and she gets all A's. So all of her grades have been A's. So that is amazing. Do you have any advice for me? Well, my first piece of advice, have your daughter and yourself keep doing what you're doing. It is great for students to build a strong foundation since they're in middle school. Now, one thing that you, Acela, have to know, and everybody else, if you're a parent or if you're a student in middle school grades don't count towards your college application. Now, this doesn't mean that students should just be not getting good grades and not caring about their grades in middle school. In the contrary, in middle school, it's the right time for students to build a strong foundation and to build study habits and to build, just habits that are going to help them once they get to high school. So the fact that your daughter, and Acela's daughter, is already having good grades, and it's maybe understanding what it is, maybe the rewarding feeling of getting good grades, maybe being placed in the honor roll or something, that is going to be something that is going to benefit her in a positive way. Now, a piece of advice or something that you could do besides, keeping up the good work is if your child's middle school offers any high school level courses, which would count towards college applications and would count towards their GPA. Not every middle school in the country offers high school level courses to middle schoolers, but there are some middle schools that do. So if that is something that you and your daughter are interested in, I would recommend it. If that is something that your daughter is capable of doing, then 100% try to do it. If your child's middle school offers any advanced classes, any honors classes, that is also going to be great, a great way to prepare for AP classes, IB courses, dual enrollment, etc. once your daughter gets to high school. And yeah, just keep working on building a strong foundation. And if your daughter hasn't done so already, maybe find an extracurricular as well that they're passionate about, something that they could see themselves not only doing in middle school, but once they get to high school and maybe beyond high school, so that they could improve the chances of, if it's a sport, getting an athletic scholarship, if it's an art, getting a theater scholarship, band scholarship, singing, chorus, whatever it is. Finding something that they're passionate about, an extracurricular activity that could help them. That is my piece of advice. And also, if you haven't done so already, register to this free training. The link is in my bio or in the comment section in this video's description, and you will learn a lot of tips that are going to be very helpful. Anyone who's watching is going to learn a lot of tips. All right, so next question that I got was from Wendy Barrios. She asked us, does having a steady income affect my daughter's chances of receiving scholarships? All right, so when it comes to financial aid, so to federal scholarships, to federal aid, income might affect your students' chances of receiving federal need-based scholarships. Now, a steady income, it depends. It's going to depend on every situation. A lot of parents, a lot of students think, both my parents work, or my dad makes more than $70,000 per year or more than $90,000 per year, so I'm not going to qualify because a friend of a friend didn't qualify for the FAFSA or for financial aid because their dad made a similar amount of money or their mom made a similar amount of money as mine does. So one thing to note about federal aid is that these, when it comes to the FAFSA, this is going to be considered on a case-by-case basis. So just because one family made X amount of money per year doesn't mean that the family that makes the same amount of money is going to either get accepted or is going to receive a lot of federal aid or, need-based scholarships. Usually when it comes to federal aid, not only do they consider, obviously, your family's income, but they also will consider the number of people who live in the house, whether both parents work, whether the student's parents are together, whether they're divorced, whether, if there is maybe a grandma or grandpa that is living in the house and the parents are also taking care of them, other family members, etc. So those are other things besides, obviously, income that are going to be looked at and going to be considered when usually, trying to award need-based aid. But, and also income is only going to be considered with the need-based aid. There are plenty of other types of scholarships available in the United States that your student is eligible to receive. And we do go over that in this free training, which is in the link in my bio. So if you want to learn more, I do encourage you to register and to watch this training. Trust me, it's very helpful. But it's not only the only type of financial aid, the only type of scholarships available in the US is not, need-based aid or federal aid scholarships. There is institutional scholarships based on merit, based on academic merit, based on extracurricular activities, based on leadership. So just because a student's family makes a lot of money, makes a little money, this doesn't mean that they are not going to be able to receive scholarships, or that is the only type of financial aid and scholarships that is going to be available. So just keep that in mind, remember that, and aim for having good grade, like help your student get good grades, get high test scores, have an extracurricular activity, something that either helps them get athletic scholarships, art scholarships, maybe leadership scholarships. My brother Francisco, he was a leader throughout high school. He was the president of his class. He was the vice president of the National Honor Society. And he went to college with a leadership scholarship, a couple of leadership scholarships, some from private sources and some from the University of North Carolina, UNC. So there are a lot of chances and a lot of ways to get scholarships. So don't think that it's just based on the family's income. There are merit-based scholarships, institutional scholarships, state scholarships, a lot of types of scholarships, all right? And if you want to learn where to get these scholarships or what are the types of scholarships available, again, the link in my bio or the link below this video's description is going to help you out a lot, alrighty? So those were the questions that were sent in to us this week. I hope that, they were helpful and I hope that they were insightful. And today's presentation, again, we talked about how to choose between a college and a university. I do want to remind you that we do go live every week at Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, which might change come the new year. So stay tuned for that announcement. We will be live tomorrow on Instagram and TikTok. So if you want to follow us in those platforms, our name is Best College Aid USA, so that you can follow us and have, stay up to date with all of our content. And again, if you haven't done so already, I highly encourage you to register for a free training on the 6 strategies to help your children get accepted into college with scholarships. Trust me, very insightful, very helpful, and it's going to be a great first step if you or your child don't really know where to begin. It's a great way to get started. Or if you have a general idea, it's also a great way to start planning and start understanding and maximize your child's odds of getting accepted into the right school with scholarships. Alrighty. Once again, my name is Laura Cantu. I hope that you found this information valuable. I hope that you learned a lot today. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for our live stream on TikTok and on Instagram. And it's been a pleasure. I hope you have a great week. And thank you so much for tuning in.